So here's a way to do it. To declare your function, it's going to be a def. This means this is a function. Now you got to give it a function name. So let's say we want to open file. Now functions, as you see from the list.append requires a parentheses argument. Every function requires a parentheses. Okay, so if you're not taking anything, so if you just, suppose you have a function that wants to just, let's say, return a number, but you don't want to pass in anything, you can easily just do, you want to make a function that just returns 1. It basically does this. I'm sorry, no semicolon. Now, suppose you want to make, actually, this is a little weird. Let me just try add 2 numbers. Add 2. No. Alright. So suppose I want to add 2 numbers. By default, it's kind of like this, return 1 plus 2. But if you want to add 2 numbers that you want to give, you have to specify arguments. So num1, comma, num2. If you want to add 3 numbers, that's very straightforward. Num1, comma, num2, comma, num3. So what's the point of this return? So if I do this, return num1 plus num2. Okay, so we know that num1 and num2 are going to be added together. So we'll get the sum of num1 and num2. But what the heck is this return for? Well, so here's the thing. So we're doing our calculus. So we got a is equal to 1, b is equal to 3, and to call this function, so def, usually def is created before you do your other Python code. Def is usually called like immediately below Python. This statement, or imports. So once you created your def function, you can do this. Add 2 nums a, b. And then it's equal to add 2 numbers. Okay, so backspace. So you gotta make sure they're all indented, or they're all aligned, or else you're gonna have an error. Okay, so s is equal to add 2 numbers. So a will replace num1, b will take place of num2, and in reality you're actually going to return a plus b, which is 4. It's going to return 4, and it's going to sort to s. And if you have to do another thing, if you have to do another adding, so a is equal to 90, b is equal to 40. All you have to do is just call this function. And there you go, you have reusable code that's portable. And this is actually really useful when you have to do all these weird calculations. So Eric might ask you to write a script that will extract data from a text file, and then he wants you to calculate every single column in each row by 5 or 10. And this is actually what I had to do. So let me just show you an actual real life. So I have a text file. So I have a text file that has 3 columns, alright? And let's see. And Eric wants me to multiply this column, the numbers, let's say 14, 6. He wants me to multiply each of these columns by 3. Now, the easiest way to do it without using any programming is to actually multiply right there on the text file. So you open up the text file and you just multiply each one by 3. Here's the problem. The text files that Eric will give you is over 40,000 lines long. Good luck. So one thing you can do is write a Python script for it. So here's how you open a function. So you know how to create a function. Now you're going to use the systems functions to get the text file and get each line of the data, and then multiply this column by 3. So how do you do so? So you create your Python script. So the one that I submitted to Eric is, I will not waste my life multiplying each column by 3. .python. So I submitted that to Eric. And it works actually. So it's really nice. So in your Python script, you will have the label user bin Python. First things first, you're going to open up this text file. In Python, to open up a text file in Python, you have to first give it a variable name. Let's call it f. And the function to open it up is open. Open, and then in parentheses, the first argument the first parameter in your open function is your file name in string. So you have to put this in quotes. Text, comma. So open requires 2 parameters, the name of the file and the permissions. What will you want to do to that text file? There are several types of permissions. And they're usually in single quotes. Okay. There are 2 types. There's R, means you only want to read the file. W, you want to only write the file to the file. RW, you only want to read and write. You want to read and write to the file. And then you get all these weird ones, which I'm not going to discuss. Most of the time, you're only going to use the R argument. Okay, so once you do that, close parentheses. So let me just make this a little neat. Okay, so comma single quote R. Alright, so you call the open function, you open up the text file, and you set it to read only. Alright, now that's just going to that just basically puts your file in memory for Python to see. Now now you got to manipulate it. So you have a string, you have a variable called str, and you call this read function. Basically, it's going to read every single thing in the text file and put into a string. The whole thing. So if you do like print str, you'll see your entire text file on the console. Now, your next thing you want to do, and it's going to be the same format for every single script you're going to write. You need to make a list. Okay? And it's going to be str. So you only want to get each row. So as I told you, string, unlike a double or an integer, string is an object. And what makes an object so much different from a primitive data type, like an integer or a double, is that it has functions. If you see something that has a dot and some function, it's an object. What does the split line do? So basically what it does, it basically it's going to take each row, each line, and place each line into one element in the array, in the list. So let's say